Welcome back on the Parisian Mall. Today we're going to talk about one of the topics I'm asked the most often by you, which is what kind of tickets or subscriptions you can activate when you arrive in Paris and you want to use the public transport system. Because this is, I swear, something that I'm asked, if not every day, every 2 days for sure, not only by people that move to Paris and need to understand what kind of subscription they need to activate if they are planning to use the public transport system pretty much every day, but also from people that come to Paris as tourists. So they're going to be here for a few days, they want to visit and explore the city, and they want to understand if there's a specific ticket or a specific pass that they can purchase in order to be able to use the metro, the bus, every single form of public transport mean while they will be here in Paris. So I thought that it could be super useful to record a video where I will go super into detail with every single kind of ticket, subscription, pass available to use the public transport system here in Paris. But before diving into today's video, there's a super important specific that I need to mention, because a few weeks ago, the public transport system here in Paris announced that from January the 2nd, 2025, there will be a massive reform that will be put into action in order to make it easier to be able to choose and purchase the kind of ticket that better works for you. Because right now, as you will see in this video, there are so many different kinds of tickets, pass, subscriptions, and everything that people may be overwhelmed and may be super confused about what kind of tickets to purchase. Also because every single ticket or pass has different validities based on the kind of zones you want to activate them for. And so most of all, for people that maybe don't really know Paris, it may be very confusing to be able to pick which kind of zones you will need it for, because you may not know. So apparently this reform will make it easier, because the tickets, again, apparently, because not a lot of information have been released yet, but apparently there will be fewer tickets and they will be valid for pretty much everywhere around Paris without the distinction into zones. But again, nothing specific has been released yet, so I thought that it could be, by the way, useful to record this video, because a lot of people is coming to Paris, most of all in November and December because of the holidays period. So this could be, by the way, super useful. And then in January, when the new reform will be put into action, I will record an update video where I will explain the new tickets, what will be different from the actual situation, what kind of tickets will be different, and if some tickets will remain the same, I will highlight which tickets will remain the same. So without further ado, let's get right into today's video. Okay, so before getting into the different kind of tickets and subscriptions, there are two things that I want to mention so that you can better understand when I will mention them throughout the video. So the first one is that you will often hear me say Île-de-France. Now, Île-de-France is not France and is not even Paris. Île-de-France is an administrative region which includes Paris and 7 other departments around Paris. And the reason I'm specifying this is because there are a lot of tickets or subscriptions that are valid not only in Paris, but also in the Île-de-France region. So I just wanted to clarify this because I know that this also creates a lot of confusion. So it's Paris and other 7 departments around Paris. And then the second specific that I want to make is that very much often, if you pick a ticket or a subscription, you need to choose between different zones. And an important thing you have to bear in mind is that zones are not the arrondissements. So for example, zone 1 includes all the 20 arrondissements of Paris. And then from zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, zone 5, you actually get outer and outer and outer. But if you are coming to Paris and you're thinking about just staying inside Paris in the 20 arrondissements and you're never taking into consideration going outside, actually zone 1 is going to be enough. But if you also want to visit on the outside, so for example, if you purchase a ticket choosing zone 1 to 3, this means Paris and the area right outside of Paris. So for example, if you also want to visit the Stade de France, that's in zone 3. On the other hand, if you purchase the validity from zone 1 to 5, that's the most complete, because it includes not only Paris and the outer areas of Paris, but it also includes the routes to the 2 airports, so the Orly Airport and the Charles de Gaulle Airport, but also the castles right outside of Paris. So for example, the Versailles Castle, the Fontainebleau Castle, Saint-Germain-en-Laye, Vaux-le-Vicomte, so the outer areas, and also Disneyland Paris. So if you're coming to Paris and you're taking into consideration going to Disneyland, and you also need to use the public transport system to get to the airport or to go from the airport to Paris, then picking a ticket or a pass that has validity in zone 1 to 5 may be the best solution for you. So I just wanted to specify this because when we will see in detail every single ticket or pass, sometimes I will mention zone 1 to 3, sometimes I will mention zone 1 to 5. So I just wanted to clarify that so that you are aware of what I mean when I mention that. Okay, so now that we did all these specifics, we can actually start getting into detail with the different kind of tickets and subscriptions you can activate when using the public transport system in Paris. Also, as in my channel, I mainly talk about all the things and info that can be useful for people who move to Paris. I will start by mentioning all the kind of subscriptions that you can activate once you move to Paris and you need to use the public transport system on a more daily basis. And then in the second part of the video, I will talk about all the tickets, pass and subscriptions that you can activate when you come to Paris just as a tourist and you will be here for a few days, so you want to use the public transport system to visit Paris and you'd like to understand what kind of tickets you can actually purchase to be flexible enough to decide when you want to use the public transport system. So if you're not interested for the kind of subscriptions that people that move to Paris would actually need to activate, you can skip to the second part of the video. In the descriptions, you can see that there is the division of all the chapters of the video and you can directly go to the chapter where I talk about the tickets and subscriptions that you can activate when visiting Paris as a tourist. So let's start with the subscriptions that people that live in Paris or just moved to Paris can think about activating if they need to use the public transport system pretty much every single day. Oh, and also another thing is that Paris public transport tickets usually are called Navigo Pass. So the most common one for people who need to use the public transport system pretty much every day. And with public transport system, I mean every single form of public transport. So whether the metro, whether the bus, whether the RER, which is the fast metro line, which connects Paris with the suburbs, and also the trams, because in Paris there are also trams. And usually pretty much every ticket is valid on every public transport mean, but again, we will talk about it in a second. So the most common subscription that people that use public transport system every single day in Paris is the monthly Navigo Pass. So that's the monthly subscription. So the monthly Navigo Pass can be activated on a monthly basis, meaning that every first of the month you need to recharge it. And this is very important because it's not monthly based on when you activate it for the first time. Its validity is fixed from the first day of the month until the last day of the month. So for example, if you arrive in Paris on the 16th or the 17th of the month, it doesn't make any sense for you to activate a monthly subscription because it's not going to be valid until the 16th or the 17th of the following month, but it will expire on the last day of that month. So on the first of the following month, you would need to recharge it again. And basically, there's no difference between the monthly and the yearly subscription, if not for the timeline. Because with the monthly subscription, you need to remember every first of the month that you need to recharge it. Whereas for the yearly subscription, it's the same kind of subscription, but you can decide to recharge it once a year, so you pay the whole year in advance just once and then you're done for the whole year. Or you can choose to activate the yearly subscription, but you can choose to connect it with your bank account and pay every single month, but in an automatic way, meaning that they have the certainty that they can take the money from your bank account, and so they don't need to wait for you to recharge it. And also the advantage of the yearly subscription is that after 11 consecutive months of payments, the 12th month is gifted. So basically with the yearly subscription, you pay just 11 months and the 12th is free. Me personally, I've always had the monthly subscription. I recharge it every first of the month. It has always been my preference. Like there's no specific reason. So yeah, I mean, I never had a problem also because recharging the monthly subscription is super easy. You don't need to queue at the automatic machines inside the metro stations, but you can do it directly from your phone. And it's super easy because you just need to go on the app of the Île-de-France Mobilité or the SNCF Connect. They are both the same. And then you just need to tap, literally tap behind your phone, your subscription, your monthly subscription, and you can directly pay and then you top it up, like literally putting it against your phone. So it's super easy and super quick. So I never had any issue with that. So this is for the monthly subscription and the yearly subscription. And in order to activate them, you can either do all the procedure online on the Île-de-France Mobilité website, or you can go inside a metro station where there are all the counters with the people that work for the public transport system, and you can do it directly with them. But in both cases, you need to present a few documents in order to be able to obtain that, because the monthly and the yearly subscriptions are dedicated to people that live or work in France. So you have to show a proof that you are actually a French resident or worker. So the documents you need to activate a monthly or yearly subscription are a photo ID, because on the monthly or yearly Navigo Pass, your photo will be on the card. Then you need your identity document, and then you need a proof of address of a French address, so a proof of the French address you live in, and then you need a French phone number. And I remember when I moved to Paris, I still didn't have a French phone number, I still had the Italian one, and I tried to activate the monthly subscription with the Italian number, and they told me no, that it was not possible. So I needed to wait to activate the French phone number, and then I could actually activate the monthly subscription. So these are the documents you need to bring with you, either if you go to the metro station, either if you do it online. And then if you do it online, they will ship to you directly at home your monthly/yearly Navigo Pass. Or if you do it inside a metro station, they will directly give to you the card. And finally, the big advantage of the monthly/yearly Navigo Pass is that if you work for a French company, by law, the employer will reimburse you the monthly cost on a 50/75% basis. The most common one is the 50%, but maybe your company is going to reimburse you the 75%, which is super useful if you need to use the public transport system to go from home to work. Now, how to do that? So if you have the monthly Navigo Pass, every single month, on the first of the month, you have to recharge it and pay the full cost, and then you have to send the proof of payment to your human resources department or directly to your manager or whoever is in charge of that, and then they will reimburse 50% or 75% of that directly on your paycheck the following month. If you activate the yearly Navigo Pass, it doesn't change at all, because either you choose to pay once for the whole year, or you connect your bank account and you pay every month. By the way, the company is going to reimburse you every single month, even if you paid once for the whole year. So again, you have to send the proof of payment, and then the human resources will reimburse you the 50 or 75% of that cost directly on your paycheck every single month. So it's super easy, but also super useful. Now, this reimbursement applies only for the monthly or the yearly subscription. It doesn't apply to the weekly subscription. So if you decide to activate a weekly Navigo Pass, you are not entitled to receive a reimbursement. Now, the weekly Navigo Pass works exactly as the monthly or the yearly subscription, meaning that once it's active, it allows you to use every single public transport mean in the zones you chose, because you can choose between a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 5 zones. For example, I've always chose the maximum zones, so my monthly subscription has always been from zone 1 to 5, also because if I have to travel and go to the airport, or I also like to do a lot of daily getaways outside of Paris. So for me, it made more sense to have a subscription that allows me to take every public transport mean in every zone in Paris and outside of Paris. But if you're not planning in using your subscription or your pass outside of Paris, you can also think about activating either from zone 1 to zone 2, zone 2, zone 3, depending also on where you live, where your office is. So the choice is up to you. And for the weekly subscription, the important thing that you have to bear in mind is that you cannot activate it whenever you want, and then it will be valid for 7 days from the moment you activate it. But the weekly Navigo Pass is always and only valid from Monday to Sunday. So for example, if you arrive in Paris on a Wednesday and you're going to be here for a week, and so you want to activate the weekly subscription, it will not work from Wednesday to Wednesday. It will expire on Sunday. So you have to understand if it actually makes sense for you or not. So if you arrive on a Monday, it could actually make sense if you're staying for a week. But if you arrive later than that, it probably doesn't make a lot of sense. And there are other subscriptions that you can activate, which may be more flexible in terms of days and validity. So that's for sure an important thing to bear in mind when thinking about activating a weekly Navigo Pass. So these were the 3 most common, so weekly, monthly, yearly, but there's not only the monthly Navigo Pass that you can think about if you are someone who lives in Paris and who uses the public transport system often. Because if you need to use it often, but not as often to justify a monthly subscription, you can actually think about the Liberté Plus, because the Liberté Plus is a subscription that allows you to use the public transport system whenever you want, and then at the end of the month, you will receive an invoice with the total amount that you actually spent, and that amount will directly be deducted from your bank account. So I spoke with a lot of people that actually have the Liberté Plus, and the thing that they all have in common is that either they are freelancers, Either they are people who work from home on a constant basis or 80% of the time. So people that actually don't need to use the metro or the public transports every single day, but still they use it quite a lot. And so how does it work? You basically need to have the same documents for the Navigo monthly pass in order to activate it, but you also need to provide your RIB, which is your French IBAN, because the Liberté Plus will be directly connected with your bank account, and the amount of the single metro ride will have a reduced price. So as of now, if you purchase a normal single ticket for a single metro ride, the price is €2.15. But with the Liberté Plus, when you tap for your single metro ride, that single ride will cost €1.73. So per ride, you will have a reduced price. And then at the end of the month, you will receive the total amount that you spent, and then that will be directly deducted from your bank account. So I always think that it's up to you to decide if for you it's better the Navigo monthly pass or the Liberté Plus, depending on how many times per day or per week you are going to take the metro or use the public transports. Because if the total amount that you would spend with the Liberté Plus is more than the actual cost of the monthly pass, then probably doesn't make a lot of sense. But if the amount that you spend with the monthly Navigo Pass is actually not justified because you take the public transports very, very few times in the month, but still enough to not wanting to purchase single tickets every time, then the Liberté Plus could be absolutely a great solution for you. Now, the only thing you have to bear in mind with the Liberté Plus is that the only downfall that it has is that it's absolutely not valid if you have to take the RER outside of Paris. So what does it mean? As I mentioned before, the RER is the fast metro that connects Paris with the suburbs. So if you live in the suburbs, or if your office is in the suburbs, or if during the week or in your free time you want to visit places outside of Paris and you need to take the RER, the Liberté Plus will not be valid, meaning that every single time you have to use it outside of Paris, you have to pay the proper ticket. So again, it's up to you. Now, let's not forget about students, because there are also subscriptions for students at a reduced price. And in this specific case, there is a specific subscriptions for students under the 26 years of age that has a reduced price, but it's only available on a yearly basis. So you cannot activate it on a monthly basis and recharge it every first of the month. You can only pay once for the whole year, but the fee is, the total amount is €375. So it's a great reduction price compared to the normal yearly Navigo Pass. And then even in this specific case, if you are a student that is doing an internship inside a French company, you are entitled to receive the 50 or 75% reimbursement. So it's great because actually if you are a student and you're under 26 years of age, this is a great reduction. And this specific subscription is called Imagine Our Student Pass. And then the last subscription for people who live or work in France is the Forfait Amethyst. Now, this is a very specific pass which is thought for older people or people with disability, and it's a pass that allows you to use the whole public transport system for free or with huge reductions. Now, of course, there are specific requirements that you need to respect in order to be entitled to receive the Amethyst Pass. But if you check on the Ile-de-France Mobilité website, and of course, as always, every link that I mention in this video is going to be linked in the description below, you can check the whole list of requirements, because if you happen to be among those requirements, this would be a great solution for you, because again, it would allow you to use the public transport system for free or with huge reductions, by the way. Okay, so now that we've seen all the subscriptions that you can actually activate if you live or work in France, let's get into the tickets, pass and subscriptions that you can actually activate if you are coming to Paris as a tourist, if you want to visit Paris for a few days, but that you could absolutely activate if you live in Paris but you don't use the public transports as much to justify a proper subscription. So starting from the most basic one, so the single ticket, which is called the T+. So the single ticket is a ticket that is valid for one single ride, either on the metro, on the tram, or on the bus, and it costs €2.15. Now, once you activate it, so once you validate it for the first time, it has a 90 minutes validity, meaning that inside those 90 minutes, you can actually use it multiple times, but when the 90 minutes expire, it will not have validity anymore. If you don't have a ticket with you, but you need to take the bus, you can actually purchase a bus ticket via text message, and the cost will be a little higher because it will be €2.50 instead of €2.15, which is the normal price. But always remember that if you don't want to have the problem of always needing to find an automatic machine or something, if you download the Ile-de-France or the SNCF app, you can directly purchase the tickets on the app, and then you can use your phone. Every single time you need to take the metro, every single time you need to take the bus, you can use your phone to tap it and access the metro station. So that's super useful because in case of emergency, at least you have your tickets on your phone. And then if you want to purchase multiple single tickets because you know you're going to need more than just one single ticket, there's also the 10 single ticket package that you can purchase, and it's called the Carnet 10 tickets. And once it was available also as a paper ticket that you could actually validate for 10 times, but now the paper version is not available anymore, and you can activate it only either on your app, either you can upload it on the Navigo Easy card that we are going to see in a second. So that's for sure a package which is useful for people that know that they're going to use the public transport systems many times, but not as much to justify the purchase of a proper pass or a proper subscription. Now, let's talk about the most common card used by people that come to Paris as tourists, which is the Navigo Easy Pass. The Navigo Easy Pass is basically just a support, and it costs €2, but it's this card, and on this card you can actually upload the kind of tickets that you want to purchase. So it's super useful because instead of having spare tickets here and there, you have your card, and then every single time you need to take the public transport system, you can use that card where you have uploaded the kind of tickets you are more interested into. Now, on the Navigo Easy Pass, you cannot upload every single form of ticket. You can upload specific tickets, like for example, single tickets, the 10 single tickets package. You can upload the daily pass. You can upload the Jean Weekend Pass, which is the pass dedicated to people under the 26 years of age to be used during the weekend, but we will see it right after. You can upload the airport rides, so you can upload specific kind of tickets, but not all of them. Because, for example, similar to the Navigo Easy Pass, there's also the Navigo Découverte. So, for example, on the Navigo Easy Pass, you cannot upload the weekly pass, for example. You could upload it on the Navigo Découverte. The Navigo Découverte is a different kind of Navigo Pass, which is very similar to the Navigo Easy, but is studied for people who are planning to be in Paris for longer stays. So the main difference is that if the Navigo Easy Pass costs €2 when you have to activate it, the Navigo Découverte costs €5 to be activated. And also the main difference is that the Navigo Easy is not personal, so there's not your name on it. You can give it to your siblings, you can give it to your friends, it doesn't matter. While the Navigo Découverte will have your name on it and your picture, because you have to attach a photo ID on it. Basically, you have more options that you can upload there. And so again, this is studied for people that come to Paris more often or they come to Paris for longer stays. So these are basically the two supports card where you can upload the kind of tickets or the kind of subscriptions that you're interested into. And then there's my favorite, which is what I always advise for people that come to Paris for a maximum of 5 days, which is the Paris Visit. So basically the Paris Visit is a pass for people who will stay in Paris for a minimum of 1 day to a maximum of 5 consecutive days. And the cool thing is that it's super flexible, meaning that you can choose how many days you will need it for. You can choose the areas you will need it for. So for example, zone 1 to 3 or zone 1 to 5, and depending on that, the price will change. And then it will be valid from the moment you validate it until the midnight of the last day you picked. So for example, let's say that you need the Paris Visit for 5 days. It will be valid from the moment you validate it for the very first time. So from the moment you actually take the first metro or the first bus, and it will be valid until the midnight of the 5th day. If you need it for 3 days, it will be valid until the midnight of the 3rd day. So it's super flexible because if you remember, when we talked about the weekly Navigo Pass, we said that it's only valid from Monday to Sunday. So you're not flexible with the dates. But with the Paris Visit, it's super flexible because it will be valid from the moment you actually validate it throughout the days you selected. And with the Paris Visit, you will be able to visit everything you want inside the areas you selected. So if you're coming to Paris and you're thinking about using the public transport system a lot, and you also want to visit around Paris, so for example, the Chateau de Versailles, if you want to visit Disneyland, if you want to also include the rides to the airports, with this kind of pass, you will be super flexible and you will be allowed to use every form of public transport system in the zones you selected for the days you selected. So this is the reason why when people ask me, I am going to be in Paris for 4 days and I want to visit a lot and I'm thinking about using the public transport system a lot, this is what I always recommend, because I think think it's the most flexible one. And then, of course, for those coming to Paris just for one day, you can activate the daily Navigo Pass, which is a Navigo Pass, which will allow you to use every public transport mean for, again, the areas you picked, and that will be valid until midnight. So no matter at what time you activate it, if you pick the daily Navigo Pass, it will be valid until midnight of that same day. And again, in order to activate it, you can either activate it on your app and then you use your phone as your card basically, or you can upload it on your Navigo Easy. So if you don't have a Navigo Easy and you want to activate a daily Navigo Pass, what you want to do is to purchase a Navigo Easy card, which costs €2, and then you will upload on it the Navigo Daily Pass, and then you can use it until midnight. Then, as we mentioned before, there's also a pass specifically studied for younger people under the 26 years of age, and that is called the Navigo Pass Jeune Weekend. But be careful, because I was misled the first time that I read it, because I thought that this was a specific pass which was going to be valid through the whole weekend, but it actually is not. So the Navigo Jeune Weekend, it's actually a daily Navigo Pass. It's called Weekend because it's a specific pass which is only going to be valid either on a Saturday, either on a Sunday, either on a public holiday, but it's not going to be valid from Saturday to Sunday, for example. So basically, it's a pass with a reduced fee for younger people under 26 years of age, again, valid on a Saturday, on a Sunday, or on a public holiday. And that again, as the daily Navigo Pass, is going to be valid until the midnight of the day you selected, and that will allow you to use every public transport mean for the areas you selected. And again, even this one, you can activate it either on the app, either you can upload it on your Navigo Easy card. And finally, we can talk about the different kind of airport tickets. So what kind of tickets you can purchase if you need to go to the Orly Airport or the Charles de Gaulle Airport, or if you need to go to Paris from the Charles de Gaulle or the Orly Airport. So there are different kind of tickets you can think about, because there are different ways to get to these two airports. So starting from the Charles de Gaulle Airport, the easiest way is to take the RER-B. So again, as I mentioned previously in the video, the RER is the fast metro line which connects Paris with the suburbs, and Charles de Gaulle is in the suburbs. And in that specific case, you can either purchase the ticket at the automatic machines, or again, you can purchase the ticket directly inside the app, or you can upload it on your Navigo Easy card if you have one. And then the other way to get to the Charles de Gaulle Airport or to Paris from the Charles de Gaulle Airport is the bus. So there's a specific bus which is called the Roissy bus, and if you are at the airport, it will directly bring you to Paris. If you're in Paris, you need to go to Opera in order to take it, because that's the point where it leaves for the airport. And pay attention, because the cost of this one varies depending if you purchase the ticket digitally or on paper, because on paper it will be more expensive. On paper is about €16, whereas if you purchase it digitally, it's about €14. And then for the Orly Airport, you can either get there through the Orly Val, which is basically a specific metro line dedicated to the Orly Airport. And for the Orly Val, you can purchase the tickets either at the automatic machines, either on the app, either you can upload it on your Navigo Easy card. And then also for the Orly Airport, there's a specific bus that will bring you there. And again, as for the Charles de Gaulle Airport, if you purchase it on paper, it will be a little more expensive than if you purchase it digitally. And then a few months ago, thanks to the Olympic Games, there's a new way to get to the Orly Airport, which is through line 14 of the metro. And this actually, let me tell you, changed the game, because line 14 of the metro here in Paris is one of the fast lines, and it's actually a line that runs throughout the city from north to south, meaning that you can take it from wherever is best for you, depending on which area you are in the city, and it will directly bring you to the Orly Airport. Now, the important thing you have to bear in mind here is that the difference from line 14 to the other ways to get to the airport is that for all the other ways to get to the airports, you need to purchase the specific ticket for the airports before leaving, which is always around 10, 11, 14 euros. But with line 14, considering that it's a metro line, you don't have any way to prove that you are going to the airport until you actually arrive to the airport, because as it's a normal metro line, you could be taking it just normally to go around the city. So that's the reason why when you take line 14, you will not be required to have a specific ticket, but when you arrive at the Orly Airport, in order to actually be able to access the terminal, there, in that specific moment, you will need to purchase the specific ticket in order to get to the airport. Or if you already have it, that's the moment where you need to scan the Orly Airport ticket, which is €10.30. Finally, I was forgetting that there's a specific ticket for those who come to Paris during the music festival. So for those who don't know, every single June for the summer solstice on June the 21st, Paris hosts an amazing evening and the whole night actually, which is called Fête de la Musique. which literally translates into music festival, and is a night where in every single area of Paris, in every single square, along the Seine, like everywhere, there's music all over the city with concerts everywhere, but also inside hotels, inside museums, inside monuments, government buildings. Like, it's amazing. The city is literally immersed in music, and so many people come to Paris because of the Fête de la Musique. So the public transport system decided to actually create a proper public transport system ticket for those who come here for the Fête de la Musique, which is a pass that you can use from 5 p.m. of June the 21st and is valid until 7 a.m. of June the 22nd, allowing you to use every form of public transport around the city for the whole night. Because when people come to Paris for the Fête de la Musique, of course, you will need to move around the city a lot because there are a lot of things to see, a lot of concerts to listen to, and so people may need to use the metro or the bus very much that night. So if you're planning to be in Paris for the next Fête de la Musique, you can absolutely think about purchasing this kind of ticket, which again will allow you to use all the public transports from 5 p.m. of June the 21st until 7 a.m. of June the 22nd, and the cost is €4. So it's absolutely worth it. So we got to the end of this video. We saw all the tickets, all the passes, all the subscriptions that you can actually activate if you're coming to Paris, either because you're moving to Paris, either because you're coming to Paris just as a tourist to visit and explore the city. And these were all the options that you have. And probably now you've understood why the whole tickets subscription situation creates a lot of confusion in people, because when you want to understand what kind of tickets or what kind of pass to activate when you arrive here in Paris and you open the Ile-de-France website and you see all of these options, I can understand that it can be super overwhelming because you don't know what you need and you don't know what to purchase. And this is the reason why, as I told you in the beginning of the video, starting from January the 2nd, 2025, a whole new reform of the public transport system tickets will be put into action in order to make it way easier for people to actually understand what kind of tickets to purchase. And it will increase the validity of tickets because, as far as I understood, there will no longer be the distinction into zone 1 to 3, zone 1 to 5. Apparently, there will be one single big area. But again, I still don't know the details because they haven't released them yet. But as soon as they will, and as soon as the reform will be put into action, I will record a whole new video explaining everything that changes, what kind of tickets will be available, all the new things put into place, their geographical validity. I mean, I will explain you everything. But until then, this is the current situation of tickets and subscriptions available if you come to Paris and you need to use the public transport system. So I really hope this video was helpful for you. If so, just click on the like button and most importantly, subscribe to the channel in order to always stay updated whenever I post a new video. And as always, if you have any question, if you have any doubt, just leave them in the comments or send me a DM on Instagram, and see you in the next video.